Additional showers and storms heading into the evening give us flood risk. We'll walk you through the timeline coming up in a few minutes.
And 2 people injured in an overnight shooting in Raleigh. An update on their investigation and how they managed to track down the victims.
Plus, a missing boater. The search on Jordan Lake enters a 3rd day after finding one of the 2 missing boaters dead yesterday. So we'll explain what new challenges they face today as rescuers are trying to find that second person. Today is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Chris Levingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, this has been the theme, I think, for the past couple of days, and it's going to continue. Meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a flood watch today.
Yeah, and unfortunately, after Chantal, a lot of areas are just more vulnerable to summer storms that pass through. That's why the National Weather Service issued this flood watch, especially for our western counties. That's in effect starting at 2 p.m., but most of the storms we see come through this evening. Also, you see that yellow there? That's a level 2 risk out of 5 for severe thunderstorms. What that means is that there may be some scattered wind damage, especially again because the ground is so waterlogged. Right now, we'll give you the wide view, and you see there's a few storms forming along the sea breeze there, but nothing that's immediately pressing for us. And as we head into the afternoon, you would typically expect to see the most of your storms then, but I really don't see that being the case. Pretty isolated into the afternoon. Then as we head into the evening, we see a better coverage of showers and storms, and I'll explain why that's the case coming up in a little bit. It's a pattern that's actually pretty typical of North Carolina. But in the meantime, ahead of those storms, it'll be hot. Not as hot as yesterday, but still hot enough with high temperatures 91 to 93. Ken?
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, a major trouble spot in southern Durham County because of this crash. Right here on 751 at Stagecoach Road, you see the huge delays it's causing. Boy, you're coming in from southern Durham County this morning, heading to the Bull City. You probably want to take Fayetteville Road as an alternate route to avoid 751 right now, because that's a serious situation there. As we isolate the Beltline, many of you take that as a route to and from work this morning. The southern loop and the northern loop of the Beltline, congestion beginning to pick up just a bit, so give yourself some extra time. This is what it looks like on the northern loop of the Beltline. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us this morning. And as far as other major routes coming into the capital city, here's what we're looking at. You're coming in from Wake Forest this morning, you're just looking at a 6-minute delay. And you're coming in from east of Raleigh, maybe Nightdale area, you're just looking at a 4-minute delay. Similarly in Durham, let's look at what we are looking at if you're heading into the Bull City this morning. Very little to no delays really coming into the Bull City, but we do want to isolate I-885 this morning because we're seeing a lot of congestion in and out of Durham this morning. That's usually a troubled spot. So if you're going into Durham this morning, you're looking at a 7-minute delay. If you're using I-885 to get to I-40, you're looking at a 12-minute delay. So maybe you might want to use Highway 70 as an alternate route to avoid what's happening there on 885. If you're listening to us on the radio, we do appreciate that. For those of you getting ready to head out the door, tune us in, 101.5 HD3.
Breaking news we're following. We are learning about 2 victims from an overnight shooting in Raleigh. This shooting happened near an apartment complex on Hill Street, but the 2 were found at different locations. WRAL's Ali Kalubar explains what we've learned so far from investigators.
Yes, Raleigh police tell me that the 2 victims are male juveniles. One is here at Wake Med. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker last night. It happened at an apartment complex on Hill Street. Officers found one of the victims with a bullet hole in his leg on Capitol Boulevard, about 5 miles away from the scene. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and this morning around 2, the other juvenile victim showed up to Wake Med with a gunshot wound. Police spent about an hour and a half getting more information from the victim. Raleigh police tell us that the victims are in stable condition, but we are still working to find out the severity of their injuries. Police also tell us that they are still working to find the shooter. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kalubar, WRAL News.
This morning, search crews will be on Jordan Lake once again looking for a missing boater. Crews found the body of one of the 2 boaters who disappeared on Sunday evening yesterday. The boaters were last seen launching their canoe in Chatham County. Their identities have not been released. Several agencies are involved in the search using boats and canines. And water levels on Jordan Lake are making that search challenging, and that high water is causing other problems as well. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at Jordan Lake for us this morning. And Kelsey, today we're expecting steps to be taken to actually lower that water level.
Yes, Michelle, that's what we were expecting. The Army Corps of Engineers has plans to release water here at Jordan Lake later today. As Michelle just mentioned there, those high water levels here at Jordan Lake are causing some problems for the search for that missing boater. So you can see that deputies are here behind me. They've been working here for the last couple of hours, resuming their search. And then if we pan over to the lake itself, you can see really what they're up against with these high water levels. The water really just having that boat ramp almost fully submerged there. But in the grand scheme of things, the water isn't the real problem. This is. Check out this video. You can see here all of this washed up debris. That is the big issue here. Chief Deputy Steve Maynor says this is the most debris he's ever seen here, but that is proof that Jordan Lake and its dam is doing its job. They are designed to keep water from moving upstream. Chief Deputy Maynor explains the potential dangers of this debris.
It's hard to get back in your canoe or your kayak if you fall in some of this trash, and so it's concerning for the safety of the folks that want to utilize Jordan Lake for what it was designed for, the recreational side of it.
So we'll be sure to keep you updated on the release of the water here at Jordan Lake, as well as the search for the missing boater. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live at Jordan Lake.
People in Hillsborough are cleaning up debris from Chantal. We're talking about water spilling over from the banks of the Eno River. It's been a mess. And WRAL's Laura Levine is live in Hillsborough this morning. Laura, that town, they're just dealing with a lot of damage after the floods.
They are. Good morning, Chris. And the flood risk for Orange County today will likely hinder the recovery and cleanup process happening here at the Eno Arts Mill. You can see boxes of items that had to be tossed out because of the floods, as well as 2 dumpsters over here piling up with things that just could not be salvaged. This is a home, a creative, safe space to dozens of artists and teens, which lost nearly everything from the floods. And many of the artists, they say they lost decades of work. Now, this space needs a full demo and restoration, but for now, volunteers and neighbors are helping with the cleanup. The record-breaking crest of the Eno River also flowed into the Expedition School. That's a public charter school on the property. Everything from textbooks, furniture to technology was damaged.
Some of our teachers here have been teaching for a very long time, and all of their creations and their heart that went into all of these things they've created are gone.
The town of Hillsborough remains under a boil water advisory, and although the Eno River is now below flood stage, there is still a flood risk today in Orange County starting at 2 p.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Hillsborough.
Authorities confirm another death connected to the flooding from Chantal in Alamance County. Graham police say they found 23-year-old Hajar Hasib dead inside a vehicle in a pond in Graham, and they believe she was on her way home Sunday when floodwater swept her car away.
Crystal Lake in Moore County has been drained after the dam suffered significant damage from Chantal. Moore County was one of the areas hit hard by that storm. The ground beneath Camp Easter Road in Vass near Crystal Lake washed away, causing it to collapse. This is one of about a dozen roads in that community that washed away in Moore County. The Cranes Creek Fire Department says the operator of Crystal Lake Dam has been in contact with state inspectors following Chantal.
Governor Josh Stein says the state is stepping up to help county government with storm response because of Chantal. And he says that counties will have plenty of money to recover. The governor was in Alamance and Orange counties yesterday to tour the damage at a park in Mebane. Stein praised the first responders who rescued so many people from rising floodwaters. And he also urged people to sign up for local emergency alerts at their county government websites. Stein said the ground is already saturated, so more flash flooding could be on the way. And we've already heard from Chris Michaels that is a very real risk. Stein says that storms are getting stronger and more intense.
Heartbreak that families across the Piedmont are experiencing this week. I know one of the victim's sons very well, and their pain is pain that we would wish on no one. So let's all do everything we can to take care over the next few days to make sure that no one else in North Carolina experiences a loss of life to this storm.
Stein said state emergency leaders are on the ground in affected counties helping with the damage assessments there.
It's going to be a long road to recovery for many in Chapel Hill following Chantal. Homes, businesses, and cars were left underwater during that storm. Cleanup efforts at the Eastgate Shopping Center are entering a third day today as employees are hard at work. Every storefront is taking a different approach to the process, and Chapel Hill officials have been on the ground assessing the damage for themselves, even lending a helping hand.
We've been doling out lots of sweaty hugs here from the shop as people stop by to check on us to see if we're okay. We've had a lot of volunteer labor from our customers. They've been willing to bring their tools, put on their work gloves, get to work with us, which has been kind of cool.
Store owners we spoke with say it's tough to tell exactly how long it'll take to get everything back up and running again.
We're working to learn new information about deadly motorcycle crash, I should say, that shut down a Raleigh intersection. And that crash happened at the intersection of Creedmoor and Mount Vernon Church Road. This video here shows that a motorcycle was involved in this, and authorities have not said what caused the crash or how many people were a part of it. The Highway Patrol is investigating this.
Coming up, another crash investigation. Federal officials laying out new details in Lee County plane crash that killed a family of 4. What we know about the issues the plane may have been having before it went down.
And lending a helping hand. People from our state are on their way to people in need in Texas after a devastating flood there.
And additional storms this evening leading to another flood threat, especially as you head into our western counties. I'll show you the hour-by-hour timing and what's causing this additional chance of storms coming up. 8:14 this morning, stepping out the door, and it's quiet. It's definitely muggy, though. Temperatures in the upper 70s in the sunshine, trying to poke through the clouds over the WRAL Azalea Gardens. Maybe you're taking the dog for a walk. Again, starting out nice and warm out there. Temperatures in the low to mid 90s heading into the afternoon. And you see the storm icons there. They're going to be isolated as we go midday onward, but it's really after 7 or 8 p.m. and we stand a better chance for those storms. Some of those could be on the strong side, mainly in the form of localized wind damage today and tomorrow. That's why today and tomorrow are WRAL weather alert days. Rain chances moving forward, they're going to stay pretty scattered heading into Friday, turning a little more hit and miss heading into the weekend. I'm showing you the unique feature that's causing this stormy pattern coming up. Ken?
Chris, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, highlighting some of the areas that we're seeing some major congestion building. Of course, the southern loop of the Beltline starting around Lake Wheeler Road, as well as the northern loop of the Beltline starting around New Bern Avenue. That's our live look this morning at I-440 and New Bern Avenue. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us. You can see the bumper-to-bumper traffic going on. The other troubled spot we're seeing is I-885 going in and out of Durham this morning. If you're using I-885 to get into Durham, you're looking at a 10-minute delay. If you're using I-885 to get to I-40, you're looking at a 17-minute delay. I would recommend maybe Highway 70 as an alternate route.
All right, thank you, Ken. We are getting new information about the investigation into a deadly Lee County plane crash that killed a family of 4. The crash happened on Monday north of Sanford. The plane was on its way to Raleigh Executive Jetport from Merritt Island, Florida. The National Transportation Safety Board says that the pilot of the plane reported engine issues along with a loss of communication and navigation equipment. Travis and Candace Buchanan were on the plane along with their 2 children, 10-year-old Aubrey and 9-year-old Walker. A preliminary report is expected to be released in about 3 weeks.
Rescuers are trying to find at least 160 people unaccounted for after the devastating flooding in Texas. Officials say more than 100 people are dead, and they believe that number will go up. Kerr County was the hardest hit area. We're talking about 84 deaths being reported there, including 28 children. There are still 5 campers and 1 counselor still missing from Camp Mystic, and flash flooding risks are lingering as meteorologists predict even more rainfall there.
And our neighbors in Asheville, they know the struggles of dealing with natural disaster and flooding after Helene, and now they are pitching in to help flooding victims in Texas. Beloved Asheville has been loading supplies onto their trailers, making numerous trips back and forth to help. Each trailer packed with vital supplies and thousands of volunteers ready to give back love and hope to the community. The organization says Texas was one of the first on the ground when disaster hit western North Carolina. So Amy Cantrell says this was a no-brainer to return the favor.
Even if we're 18, 20 hours away, it's very powerful to say we're neighbors and we're taking care of neighbors. And we want to talk about, in this time of great division, we want to bring people together.
And the group has sent 5 truckloads to Central Texas since Sunday, including a 50-foot truck. Volunteers in western North Carolina said they're willing to put their own journeys on pause to help heal those who lost everything.
At least 3 people were killed in flooding in New Mexico, and now search and rescue efforts are underway. The town of Ruidoso saw major floods yesterday. Homes were swept away, forcing water rescue and road closures. Emergency teams say they made more than 85 rescues in that area, and this is the same spot where they saw severe wildfires last year.
President Donald Trump is enacting a 50% tariff on copper imports. The announcement did not give a specific date the tariff would take effect. The president also said he would soon announce tariffs on pharmaceutical imports, suggesting they could reach as high as 200%. Copper prices spiked to a record high following the announcement. The U.S. Geological Survey says the U.S. imports nearly half of its copper, mostly from Chile.
This morning, Governor Josh Stein is expected to sign 3 new bills into law. One of them changes some of North Carolina's rules and regulations for pharmacies, especially in rural parts of the state. Another will create harsher penalties for drug dealers, child predators, and other convicted criminals. It'll also increase penalties for blocking roads or businesses during protests or strikes.
It'll be business as normal at a Durham bank today after a suspicious package investigation. It happened at the Wells Fargo on the 2000 block of West Main Street just after 11 yesterday morning. When officers got there, they did find the suspicious device and they evacuated that bank. Roads in the area were also shut down for several hours.
Floodwaters from Chantal are working their way downstream, and that's affecting the water levels for the Little and Cape Fear rivers. In Spring Lake, authorities shut down the East Manchester Road Bridge over the Little River because of high waters. And at the same time, people in Cumberland and Harnett counties dealt with powerful thunderstorms yesterday. A Harnett County man escaped injury after a tree crashed through his roof during a round of thunderstorms. Terry Atkins says he has lived in that home on US 401 South most of his life, and he was just sitting in his bedroom when a sycamore tree snapped and pierced his roof.
I'm just sitting there, and I hear this loud crash, and then I can feel the vibration. We just have to pack our stuff and leave now.
But he's alive to tell the story. Atkins says the entire half of his house is destroyed, but he's grateful that he and his cats are okay.
That's what's important, right? You can fix a roof, you can fix a house. Sometimes you can't fix you. So we're happy that everybody is safe.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, I get it. There's a lot of anxiety and fatigue that comes with days and days of showers and storms. But need you guys just to stay weather aware here as we go throughout, especially this evening. The reason for that is because areas that unfortunately got hit hard this weekend are now more vulnerable to potential flooding, especially in the red there. In the yellow, it's still possible as we deal with some heavy rain coming through. Again, mostly this evening. National Weather Service says that by tomorrow, they're likely going to need another flood watch, so that's why tomorrow's another WRAL weather alert day, but by Friday that threat should hopefully come down a little bit. So this is a pattern that's pretty common around here. You see that brown dashed line at something that's called a trough, and it oftentimes will develop east of a mountain range, and a trough is just a dip in the jet stream that allows the air to rise. It gives rise to showers and storms. So noon to 4 p.m. you may see a stray shower or storm, especially in our eastern counties, but most of what we see forms along that brown dashed line. After 7 or 8 p.m., that's when I expect the most storms to be moving in from west to east. Heading toward midnight, they'll still be in parts of the triangle. Heading toward about 4 a.m., most of our storminess is going to be in our southern and eastern counties. And then as we get ready for the peak hours of the morning commute tomorrow, some light leftover rain showers may still be around. Right now, looking down on the clouds, this is always such a cool view from our tall tower camera in southeastern Wake County. The clouds are there, but so is the warmth. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s currently. What you see on the right-hand side is your heat index. That once again could get between about 100 and 104. Not as intense as yesterday, but not exactly comfortable either. Meanwhile, high temperatures today at about 89 to 93 degrees across the board. So today and tomorrow expecting numerous storms. Today it's mostly during the evening. Tomorrow looks like late afternoon, evening as well. More showers and storms Friday. But as we head into the weekend, looks like they should at least turn a little more hit and miss. Gives us the opportunity to warm up even more. Highs in the mid-90s this weekend. Ken?
All right, Chris, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're keeping an eye on that situation in southern Durham County. The crash has cleared, but anytime we see purple on the sensors, you know that that road is closed. We're talking about 751 starting at Stagecoach Road all the way back to Fayetteville Road. So if you're in that area, really use Fayetteville Road as an alternate route. We're trying to figure out exactly what's going on down there, and as soon as we know, we'll let you know. Isolating the Beltline Beltline this morning. You can see the southern loop of the Beltline beginning around Lake Wheeler Road, and congestion also picking up on that northern loop of the Beltline. So let's give you a look at what you might be looking at if you're heading out there this morning. This is the northern loop of the Beltline. The westbound lanes moving away from us. You can see moving at a slow clip, albeit. The southern loop of the Beltline, things are moving on a little better this morning, but just give yourself some extra time just to be on the safe side. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, here's what we're looking at. Very little to no delays. For instance, Wake Forest, you usually have a tough time of it this morning, but you're only looking at a 3-minute delay. Similarly, over in Durham, this is a situation that is a troubled spot. Right here on 885, you're looking at a 19-minute delay on that southern loop.
All right, thank you, Ken. Still ahead, park closures to tell you about. Several state parks saw severe damage from Chantal. We'll tell you which ones and why more closures could be on the way.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. Let's get right over to meteorologist Chris Michaels. It's another WRAL Weather Alert Day, Chris.
And another 10 to 12 hours from now is when I expect that most of our storms to be pushing in from the west, and that does lead to a higher than usual flood threat for our northwestern counties. Still possible for those of us shaded in the yellow there, but the flood threat decreases as you go from west to east heading into the night. Also, keep in mind that a couple of these storms could be producing some localized wind damage just because the ground is very wet in our western counties. But prior to the evening, high temperatures 91 to 93 degrees. I'll have the latest hour-by-hour outlook for another round of storms over on Fox 50. Ken?
All right, Chris, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We now know it's not just the usual morning congestion on 885 causing that delays in the southbound lane because of this crash right here near Ellis Road that's really causing a real bumper-to-bumper traffic in that area on 885. So here's what we're looking at. You're looking at those southbound lanes. You're looking at a 14-minute delay getting to I-40 this morning on I-885. Just a 6-minute delay going in. I would recommend using Highway 70 as an alternate route to avoid what's happening there on I-885. Of course, I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Thank you, Ken. 2 people were injured in a shooting near an apartment complex near Skycrest Drive in Raleigh. One victim from the shooting attempted to take himself to the hospital, but was stopped on Capitol Boulevard. A second victim arrived at Wake Med Hospital around 2 o'clock this morning. Both injuries are not life-threatening. A suspect is not in custody. And our neighbors in Asheville know the struggles of dealing with natural disaster and flooding after Helene. Now they're pitching in to help flooding victims in Texas. Beloved Asheville has been loading supplies onto their trailers and making trips back and forth. We'll have more news, weather, and traffic on Fox 50.
Heading into the evening, a flood watch in effect for mostly our western and northwestern counties. We'll give you the latest hour-by-hour estimate as to when these arrive coming up.
And breaking this morning, 2 people were shot at a Raleigh apartment complex. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker will take us to the scene.
And controlling floodwaters, more rain is on the way. What crews are doing to control Jordan Lake's water levels? One of many stories we will get to on this WRAL Weather Alert Day. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Chris Levengadis. Whenever we have these weather alert days, it's so important to turn those notifications on. That's kind of been a topic of discussion we'll dive into in just a little bit. But we're going to go to meteorologist Chris Michaels right now because you're tracking the flood potential.
Yeah, and you know, the flood potential is something that's going to be there for the next 3 days. And I get it, like weather fatigue is very much a real thing. And you'd almost rather like bury your head under the sand, hope it makes you feel less worried about it, but that's not necessarily the case as we go through the next few days. Anyways, tracking flood potential now through Friday, and you see our rain totals about 1 to 3 inches. That's what the forecast models show us. But what we know is that sometimes these storms can exceed that in an isolated basis. So that's why, as I showed you before, a flood watch is in effect for our western and northwestern counties. So throughout the afternoon, when you typically expect most of your storms, they're really going to be isolated. isolated. It says you head beyond 7 or 8 p.m. and most of them move in from west to east and affecting our western counties that got hit by Chantal first. Now, as we get out the door this morning, temperatures about 75 to 79. It is muggy out there. That's the mugginess that these storms have to work with. But again, it takes some time. High temperatures this afternoon, 91 to 93. Ken?
Happening now in the WRAL traffic center. I want to isolate one troubled spot this morning. We're talking about I-885. This crash right here. It's not far from Ellis Road, causing quite a bit of a delay in the southbound lanes of I-885. I'll take you out there right now. Those are the southbound lanes moving away from us, the northern lanes coming toward us. We can't see the crash on this particular camera, but just know that it's causing quite a bit of delay in that area. So we're looking at a 14-minute delay if you're using I-885 to get to I-40 this morning, just a 6-minute delay if you're heading into the Bull City this morning. But again, Highway 70 is really an alternate route for you. This is something that we're really checking out. There was a crash right here at 751 and Stagecoach Road, but you can see whenever you see purple on the map, that means that road is shut down. We're working to figure out exactly what's going on. But in the meantime, if you've got to navigate that area, you might want to take Fayetteville Road as an alternate route this morning, just to avoid what's happening there at 751. In terms of other major routes coming into the capital city, very little to no delays off Finch and Great Forest. You're just looking at a 3-minute delay. As for the other major routes into the Bull City this morning, again, we're seeing very little to no delays in the Bull City as we wrap things up here. But if you're listening to us on the radio, we do appreciate that. If you're heading out right now, tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
All right, thank you, Ken. Breaking news, we're learning new information about 2 victims of an overnight shooting in Raleigh. This happened last night at an apartment complex on Hill Street near Skycrest Drive. As Ellie Calabar explains, police have yet to make any arrests.
Yes, Raleigh police tell me that the 2 victims are male juveniles. One is here at Wake Med. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker last night. It happened at an apartment complex on Hill Street. Officers found one of the victims with a bullet hole in his leg on Capitol Boulevard, about 5 miles away from the scene. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and this morning around 2, the other juvenile victim showed up to Wake Med with a gunshot wound. Police spent about an hour and a half getting more information from the victim. Raleigh police tell us that the victims are in stable condition, but we are still working to find out the severity of their injuries. Police also tell us that they are still working to find the shooter. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Calabar, WRAL News.
This morning, teams are back on Jordan Lake searching for a missing boater. The body of one of those 2 missing boaters was found yesterday, but that person's identity has not been released. The 2 were last seen launching their canoe on Sunday, and today's search comes as crews are taking steps to control Jordan Lake's water levels. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey, she is live in Chatham County at Jordan Lake. I mean, this is just heartbreaking knowing there's still one person they're looking for, Kelsey.
Yes, Chris, it is heartbreaking. And just within the last 15 minutes or so, North Chatham Fire Rescue just came here to the area as they're now resuming that search. We'll give you a live look now as deputies arrived at about 6 o'clock this morning. Now, we also know that the Army Corps of Engineers has plans to release water here at Jordan Lake today. We know that higher water levels are creating issues for the search for that missing boater. We'll show you the water now. You can see how high that water is just by how the boat ramp there is almost fully submerged. But check out this video. This is what's going to show you the real problem here. The real problem is washed up debris. Chief Deputy Steve Maynor says this is the most debris he's ever seen here, but that is proof that Jordan Lake and its dam is doing its job. They are designed to keep water from moving downstream. Chief Deputy Maynor says for now, people should avoid the shore areas that are not maintained by state parks.
Those are dangerous. They have steep drop-off points. There's obstacles under the water, and right now you're swimming above trees if you're in those shorelines. We urge you, if you're going to be in the water, wear your life jacket. You can't see the bottom, you need to be in a life jacket.
Just a good reminder for folks this morning, and we'll be sure to keep you updated on the release of the water here at Jordan Lake as well as the search for the missing boater. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live at Jordan Lake.
The town of Hillsborough is under a boil water advisory after flooding affected the town's water system. Parks in the area also expected to remain closed for several days because of flooding. WRAL's Laura Levine has an update on the recovery efforts underway as well.
The flood concerns here in Orange County will likely impact the cleanup and recovery process here at the Eno Arts Mill. Outside of the building, you can see boxes of items that had to be tossed, things that could not be salvaged from the devastating flooding that we saw here in this community. There's 2 dumpsters here, one that is piling up with items that they could not salvage. This is a home, a creative, safe space to dozens of artists and teens, which lost nearly everything from the floods, and many of the artists lost decades of work. The space needs a full demo and restoration, but for now, volunteers and neighbors are helping with the cleanup. The record-breaking crest of the Eno River also flowed into the Expedition School, which is a public charter school on the property. Everything from textbooks, furniture to technology was damaged weeks away from the start of the school year here. Katie Murray is the director of the Orange County Arts Commission, and she says that the setback is devastating.
That is the greatest loss right now, is that this community that we have built that is the home for so many people is no longer.
And the Eno Arts Mill does not have a timeline of reopening. Although the Eno is below flood levels, Orange County does have that flood risk today beginning at 2 p.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Hillsborough.
North Carolina leaders confirmed another storm-related death. A woman reported missing during weekend flooding was found dead in Alamance County. I want to show you some video of that area where the flooding happened. Graham police say they found 23-year-old Hajar Hasib dead inside a vehicle in a pond in Graham, and police believe she was on her way home Sunday when floodwaters swept her away. In fact, several state parks are closed because of flooding from Chantal. Let's get you a look at some of the damage at the Eno River State Park. You can see right here that suspension bridge. Yeah, it's flooded. Eno River State Park is one of 6 parks closed because of the storm. And to the left of your screen, you'll see there is a list of all of the parks currently closed. More closures are expected this weekend because of continued rain.
And people in Cumberland County and Harnett counties are cleaning up the mess left behind from yesterday's pop-up thunderstorms. In Bun Level, this tree fell on a home as powerful winds passed through parts of our area yesterday. Terry Atkins says he was sitting in his bedroom when the tree fell, punching a hole directly overhead and flooding the home.
I'm just sitting there and I hear this loud crash, and then I can feel the vibration.
Wow. Atkins says he has about a dozen cats and several chickens at his home. He is now trying to find a place for all of those animals to stay. And you can track severe weather with a newly redesigned WRAL weather app. It is free to download and use. And remember to turn on those push notifications so you can get the latest weather updates sent right to your phone.
A Raleigh man is facing a murder charge. Police arrested 29-year-old Jonathan Lee, and he's in jail this morning without bond. Now, investigators say this all started yesterday morning at Austin Grove Drive. Officers found William Halla, who they believe was an assault victim. Well, he died at the hospital, and so Jonathan Lee was charged with murder in connection with the death.
And one person is recovering after a late-night crash in Cary. It happened around 9:30 last night near the intersection of Southeast Cary Parkway and Tryon Road. According to police, 2 SUVs crashed into each other, and during that collision, one SUV swerved off the road. The driver of the second SUV was taken to the hospital with injuries. That driver is expected to be okay.
New satellite images show the magnitude of destruction in central Texas. I mean, look at these photos. They show before and after that deadly flooding. More than 160 people are still missing, and more than 110 people are dead across 6 counties. Today, search and rescue teams will be looking for survivors, but no survivors have been found since Friday.
A sentencing date has been set for Sean Diddy Combs. Combs is expected to be sentenced on October 3rd. A jury found him guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution last week after an 8-week trial. He was found not guilty on the more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. The music mogul faces up to 20 years in prison.
And Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center got some brand new video coming into the Live Center. This is from Russia. Okay, this is what happened after Ukraine sent a drone strike into the city of Kursk there and killed 3 people. This is all according to Russia. The drone attack here injured 7 other people, killed a 7-year-old boy, and air defense destroyed 80 of the incoming drones. That's what Russia is saying. But this was the damage that was left behind. And this all comes after Russia had targeted Ukraine with a record 728 drones overnight. This is just hours after President Trump had pledged to send more defense weapons to the capital city of Kyiv and aimed some pretty sharp criticism at Russian President Vladimir Putin. But the attack, the latest in a series of escalating air assaults there by Russia, but Ukraine in retaliation.
My goodness. All right. Thanks, Jeff. Shop smarter. Higher prices and tariffs are putting a dent on many Americans' wallets.
Next, the steps you can take to save money on everyday purchases. Plus, deadline extended. New law will give drivers in North Carolina more time to renew their driver's license. We'll explain how that works.
.45 this morning. Another 10 to 12 hours from now, we'll be dealing with storms approaching the western part of our area, hence the flood watch that you see here. On the right-hand side of your screen, you see that yellow. That's where we also stand the chance for some localized wind damage because of how wet the ground is. All is quiet across the area. The sun is trying to peek through that low layer of clouds over Fenton and Cary there. And if you're already looking ahead to the lunch break, I get it. We're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s by then. You might have a few stray downpours around lunchtime, especially Sampson and Wayne counties. That's really about it. High temperatures 91 to 93 degrees with the bulk of our storms coming through this evening. We'll time those out hour by hour, show you how much rain it would take in order for flooding to happen. Ken?
All right, Chris, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. That crash we've been telling you about on I-885 in those southbound lanes, it has cleared, but we're still seeing the lingering delays actually in both directions. So let's give you a live look at what we're talking about here. These are the northbound lanes coming toward us. Those are the southbound lanes going away from us. You can see the still a little bit of a slowdown there in those southbound lanes. So here's what we're looking at in terms of your drive times. It's gotten a lot better. You're going into the Bull City this morning, just looking at a 5-minute delay. If you're using I-885 to get to I-40 this morning, just a 3-minute delay at this hour.
3 minutes, not too bad. All right, thanks, Ken. Higher tariffs were expected to kick in this week on countries that did not make a new trade deal with the United States. And so 5 on your side began thinking about how you might be approaching spending with ongoing tariff uncertainty. Dan Haggerty talked with a smart shopping expert about this.
In April, the Trump administration put tariffs as high as 49% on key U.S. trading partners. Those tariffs were quickly then paused for 90 days, meaning they were scheduled to go back into effect around today. But they didn't. The administration is now saying tariffs will go into effect on August 1st. Frankly, it's hard for families to plan their budget when there's this looming threat of prices jumping significantly. So we asked Trey Bodge what your approach should be.
Really focus on those bigger ticket items that are imported and think about buying them now, but this is not the time to panic. And if it's not in the budget, then just wait.
Bodge also mentioned some habits that you can get into to save on everyday purchases. Things like joining all the available free loyalty programs out there. You know, the ones like grocery store, fuel points, that sort of thing. Also, make sure that you're taking advantage of the memberships and discounts you're already paying for. And evaluate your credit card rewards. Are you getting enough benefit, or does another card actually offer rewards that better fit your spending habits? Dan Haggerty, 5 on your side.
A new law will give drivers in North Carolina more time to renew their driver's licenses. If your license expired on July 1st, it'll be valid for driving purposes for another 2 years. The rule only applies to driving, meaning the license would not be valid for other uses. That means you cannot use an expired license to buy alcohol or get a bank loan, even board a flight. Governor Stein signed the bill into law yesterday. It's in effect until December 31st of 2027. And as a reminder, Saturday walk-in hours will pick back up this weekend.
Change is coming to the next movie in a major franchise. Plus, a pair of streaming shows are making waves. David Daniel has today's Hollywood Minute.
The world will know you as pop stars. But you will be much more than that.
K-pop Demon Hunters is a phenomenon. The series about a K-pop girl group that slays demons on the side tops Netflix's global movies list. And the soundtrack album is surging up the Billboard 200 with 7 different songs on this week's Hot 100.
I need to send a message. You're a about to find out that it's all just starting.
There's no stopping slow horses. Season 5 of the spy drama is set to debut September 24th on Apple TV Plus, which had already announced a season 6 was in the works. And now the streamer says fans can look forward to a 7th season, in which the team searches for a mole in the British government.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
An update for Dune fans. The 3rd film in the franchise is set to be based on Frank Herbert's novel Dune Messiah, so that was expected to be the movie's title as well. Now it turns out the follow-up to Dune Part 2 will be called Dune Part 3. Counting them off in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Diana Ross is coming to the Triangle. She'll be performing at DPAC Tuesday, October 21st. Ross sings several hit songs, include I'm Coming Out and Upside Down. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Can't help myself, sorry. Well, there is a new dedicated place in Apex to honor and remember your beloved four-legged friends. The Rainbow Bridge is located on the Beaver Creek Greenway. It is just beyond the Beaver Creek Target. You can bring your pet's collar and attach it to the bridge rails as a lasting tribute.
Something to think about. 79% of people who responded to a recently revealed survey say they receive 0 news alerts a week. Nearly half of those people say they actively turn them off. The Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism conducted this survey, and its lead researcher said many people feel overwhelmed by mobile notifications. This includes your news apps, your sports apps, even entertainment. But the report didn't mention emergency alerts such as the ones received during severe weather. But some meteorologists question if people have been turning off those alerts as well, which puts them at risk during weather emergencies. That was brought up most recently after the tragic flooding that happened down in Texas. But one of the things that I cannot stress enough is that you will not be informed about these types of events, Chris, if people do not turn on these notifications.
Yeah, I mean, they're there for a reason, and I get it. Sometimes if your phone is blowing up, I understand. But when weather is about to get nasty, it's really helpful that if you have our weather app, to have the notifications turned on. I've used it for myself when I'm mowing the yard, and all of a sudden I get lightnings about 10 miles away. It's certainly helpful. Now, in terms of how much rain it would take in 1 to 3 hours to cause flooding, it would take about 1 to 2.5 inches for areas under the flood watch. That's all the counties in that dark green. In the brighter green, it would take a little bit more rain than that. Here's midday today. Can't rule out a few isolated downpours towards Sampson and Wayne counties, but much of the afternoon is only going to feature these pop-up showers and storms. The bulk of what we see comes in out of the west from the foothills in the Piedmont, and that's going to be after about 7 or 8 p.m., unfortunately targeting our western counties first. Then by midnight, you start to see that getting perhaps a little bit closer to parts of Wake and Harnett and Franklin counties. And then gradually, as this moves from west to east, it's likely going to weaken a little bit. Then as we get closer to about 7 or 8 a.m., maybe a few light rain showers, but nothing that's extremely heavy. So the flood risk is considered medium to at times high, especially depending on how vulnerable you are now after the storm this past weekend. The National Weather Service says they are likely going to need another flood watch for tomorrow. So we just went ahead and issued a weather alert day because it looks like that's going to happen. Out the door this morning, already starting out very warm. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Live look at the azalea gardens, the sun trying to poke through the clouds a little bit. Once it does so, we'll have plenty of time to warm up. Temperatures make it to 91 to 93. The heat index, of course, is going to be part of the equation. That'll get into the lower triple digits, but not as stifling as it was yesterday. As far as tomorrow's concerned, the 7-day forecast, you see highs in the upper 80s, more late day and evening showers and storms. Another round on Friday, but as we head toward the weekend, looks like temperatures go up and the storm chances at least turn a little more hit and miss by then.
And before we go to break, here are the winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check on weather and traffic next.